Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round number 6 of the Performance Link GT3 Cup here at the Autodrome Enzo di Ferrari, or better known as Imola. My name is Andy Thompson, and I'll be your only broadcaster for tonight, as well as the production as well. So I'm doing it all because our poor Tom has got COVID. But what I am doing is modelling the new t-shirt from Performance Link, so it's better late than never, I think. So it's all good. So interesting here, round number 6, halfway point of the season. It's still all up for grabs, but this is going to be one interesting round because I'm seeing a lot of the drivers saying that they have certainly found it hard not to get incidents on this track. So with the 20 incident point level before a drive-through penalty, who is the drivers that are going to have to take that here tonight? So it's going to be an interesting one. In the qualifying, it was quite an interesting selection. The BMW seemed to come out on top in all of the classes. I think it's probably due to the fact that it can take the bumps really well around this very tricky corners. There's some terrifying sausage curbs on certain corners, but we'll have a look at them through the track map. But yeah, let's have a look at the current standings at the moment. Let's go over to the points. Okay, so let's have a look at the pros at the moment. Thomas Wangen is still leading out the way on 58 points. Neil-Erik Isaacson closely following him on 54 points. Daniel Sedgley from Olympus Esports Redstone in third place there on 51. And Scott Mokes, after a great victory last time out at Barcelona, has moved himself up into fourth position with 44 points. Michael Hooper in 5th points on 38, and it's probably the best performance from a qualifying for Michael for this season and season 2. He's managed to qualify at 3rd overall on the grid, so maybe hoping good things from Michael today. Ketil Larsen in 6th place on 36th. Lars Sorensen on 7th, 27 points. In 8th is Arias Shermantis on 22 points. Nikolai Freyne is in 9th on 19, and Thomas Cope there in 10th place. Looking over then to the Pro-Ams. In 1st place, we got Lee King McGee on 52 points, followed closely by Casper Tugstad on 48 points. James Logston, after a probably round to forget in the endurance for him, is there on 45, but certainly has got the speed to try and get back out on top. But you can see there from 3rd, 4th, Kim-Andre Borkland, 5th, Michael Goff, all on 45 points. Christopher Marterholt on 42 points. Sander Island on 41. Alexander Scaret on 40. So you can just see how close and competitive this Pro-Am field is. Russ Fowler there in 9th place, 8 points behind Alexander Scaret, and David Gill on 25 points. But it's certainly a hotly contested championship, is that Pro-Am at the moment. Let's have a look at the AM standings. So at the top, we currently got Tom Savage on 60 points. Simeon Modeklev in 2nd place on 53, with Stefan Anderson in 3rd place on 46 points. Gordon Haig in 4th with 36, alongside Patrick Wild as well with 36 points. Sharon Pon Asavon in 6th place on 35 points. Jimmy Vark in 7th on 34. Paul Ward in 8th on 33. Stefan Albanese in 9th place on 29th, with Sammy Hendricks in 10th place on 27th. So hotly contested mid-pack there in the AMs, but the top 2 at the moment just starting to pull a slight lead over the rest of the field. Looking further down to the rookie class then. In the rookies, we've got Nicholas Gronstrom at the lead, 57 points, 3 points behind Sam Curran in 2nd from Team Bear Pope. Paul Joseph Kliss from Olympus Esports RA in 3rd place on 51, so quite close at the top, with Ian Hennebury, Tom's probably dark horse for the season there, in 4th place on 47. In 5th place, we got Torbo Mille on 38 points, with Alan Sandergaard in 6th place with 37. 7th, we got Jonathan Wiener on 14th, and Dave Chadwick rounding out your top 8 on 10 points. Let's have a look at the team standings. So in the team stands, we got IGL Coating, Iracing by Sunday, Traffic Skull on 161 points, followed closely by the two Bear Pope teams, Team Bear Pope and Bear Pope Zero, with Sim Racing Norway on 142. Olympus Esports are in 5th place on 137, with Team Cottable Racing there on equal points. Dane Racing in P7th with 136, only 1 point behind, and AKM Racing UK in 8th place on 126. Olympus Esports Redstone team in 9th place on 98, with the IGL Coating E-Racing by Kenzo rounding out your top 10. Certainly an interesting standing, and I think the one for me is certainly that Pro-Am field. We've seen some excellent racing out on track in the previous rounds, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be exactly the same tonight. We've got James Logston, who, like I said, had a pretty disastrous endurance round, and they're the ones to score the big points in the league. So, you know, has got a little bit of ground to make up, but certainly winning out last time in Barcelona and putting himself on pole position here at Imola gives him the best chance to do that. So, you know, Lee King McGee, who's currently at the top of the standings in that Pro-Am field, certainly has a lot of people behind him gathering up. But we also saw in the last round, Thomas Wangen didn't have it all his own way, with Scott Mokes getting his first victory in Barcelona. Was quite close in the qualifying. It was literally neck and neck, and then all of a sudden the IGL Coating team's tipped up. So Scott's got a little bit of ground to make up to be able to get there. He's currently going to start, I think it's P5 or P6 is Scott, but obviously does have the opportunity to make up. Then we go to the AM class. That congested midfield pack battle is going to be an interesting one. And then with the rookies being so close as well. So there's so much entertainment and action going to come up. I'm just having a look at how many drivers we've got in this round. So we've got around about 35 drivers here tonight lining up on the grid for Imola. So it's going to be an interesting one. But let's have a look at a trip around the track by our very own Thomas Cope. As we come start here on the lap. On the start-finish straight, you need to get a really good exit out of turn 15 on Riviera to be able to catapult yourself down this long straight. This is going to be the ideal opportunity to make the passing move here into turn 1, but you really need to be brave, hard on the brakes, coming down into third gear, taking the corners as wide as you can before you go through turn number 4, Tamburello, and accelerate out towards down to turn 5 and 6 of Villeneuve. Very tricky corner, an easy one to get it wrong. You really want to be trying to take the nice tight line and using the whole track on the exit before you come down into Tossa turn 7. A real sharp left-handed corner, literally using all the track again, all the way out to the outside of the track to catapult you up to Piratella turn number 8. Another tricky one, pretty much coming over the top, get blinded a little bit, and then you just really got to pick your marker, using all the curbs that are available to you before coming down into Alto Minerale. This is always one where you see drivers coming off that left-hand side in the kitty litter. You really got to be careful on the throttle when you come through that part of the circuit before a short sprint up to Alta. Very tricky course, and you see a lot of cars. We'll probably see cars going on 2 wheels coming through this corner, and maybe a few of the drivers getting it slightly wrong, but an easy place to get that pesky slowdown as well before they get right on the power as you come in down into Ravazza, turn 13, 14 and 15. Like I said, it's really important to get a really good exit out of this turn number 15 here, coming towards the start-finish line, because if you take that corner slightly wrong, you're going to open yourself up. Certainly if there's a car train behind you, you're going to be a sitting duck coming down this start finish. So there we have it, 17 corners out on track, and it's going to be an interesting one to be able to see who is going to be able to master this track out on in Imola. It's one of them interesting ones that always throws up a lot of action, and it's a very technical course to be able to master, and certainly down the sort of hotbeds of action that I'm expecting, should I say, will be coming down into turn number 1, 2, and 3. They are going to be absolutely treacherous on that opening lap. With the pack being so close together, we do have a 3-second gap between the drivers out between the classes to allow for any mishaps that might happen going down into turn number 1. But I'm just looking at other herbs. Aqua Minerale is always an interesting one to have it. The top of that going through Piratella, that's going to be an interesting one. If you get it slightly wrong, go off a little bit too wide and hit the grass, that's where you're going to be coming up a bit. But you really got to watch out for the curbs around this place. They can be absolutely treacherous. I mean, certainly through Varialta, that can throw your car all over the place. So I'm expecting to see some of the cars going slightly wide there, hitting them curbs, and then maybe even hitting into the wall straight on. And we've seen it probably so many times here at Imola in every other season that or series that I've watched in this race. And then coming down to Rivazza, it's quite a technical corner. It doesn't look, and it looks quite easy, but I'm expecting some people to make some tight lunges or late lunges going down into that corner and getting shot off into the grass in front of them. So we may see a few of them out on track as well, but it's going to be an interesting one to watch as well. Let's have a look at see what the weather is. So we can see the weather's 25 degrees out on track, so perfect temperatures. It's early evening here in Imola. We'll probably get into the maybe a slight darkness towards the end of the race, but it's going to be close whether it tips over into that night race that the drivers seem to like. Well, I suppose it's like Marmite, really, isn't it? Some of them like it, some of them don't, but it's certainly going to be interesting. But ideal track conditions for the drivers. It's a 110-minute race. They will have to do a pit stop. And we've seen it so many times. That's where you can win or lose a race. We've seen, people trying to do the undercut, trying to do the overcut. And it's probably been 50-50 throughout the season of who's going to win the battle of the pit stops. But sort of only time will tell when it comes to the race out there. So let's have a look and see who's doing what in the practice. So like I said, Michael Hooper is having a good round. He's currently third on the grid for this race, currently leading out the top of the practice. Got 6 minutes left of the practice session to go, and he's certainly turned on the pace. He sort of he struggled a little bit to find his feet in this season 2 after being moved up from the Pro-Ams last season into the pros. So it's going to be interesting to see now, is this a turn for Michael Hooper? If you watched season 1, you know that he's a super quick driver on there. Just say big thank you to all our viewers on YouTube. Dino, good evening, mate. And AKM Racing, thank you for joining. And it probably leads me on quite nicely, as you said. We've decided to branch out a little bit and have a little bit of a fun race. We've got the Clio Cup coming up. We're going to be following the Thursday before the last 5 rounds of this GT3 championship. So if you fancy getting yourself on the grid, have a look in the description below and basically sign yourself up for the league. It's going to be a fun one. 5 rounds, 3 races in each round, 20 minutes. So plenty of driving action in the brand new car to Iracing, the Renault Clio, which seems to be a favourite amongst the viewers. So if you fancy coming and joining us on the grid, all the streams, as always, will be live broadcasted by yours truly, and hopefully Tom when he's a little bit better after COVID, but I'm sure he will be by then. He was sounding a little bit croaky. It was like Kermit the Frog, speaking to Kermit the Frog when I was speaking to him before. So he's probably laid up on his sofa, bless him, sneezing into some tissues. But get well soon, mate, and you will be missed on this broadcast. I'm sure the viewers would much prefer to hear your voice rather than mine for what is the best part of 2 hours, but hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, looking at the time of time, Russ Fowler, he didn't have the best of qualifying out there, but seems to certainly have a pace in that car out on track. But it's going to be a hard one for him. He's further back down the Pro-Am field, so back at the usual train that we come to see. Simeon Modeclerc, the top Am driver there in P10. He is, I think it's third on the grid. Yeah, exactly, Overlord Dino. Out on track. But then looking further back, we have Alan Sandergaard. Alan Sandergaard, we saw him in the AMP in the rookie points, just a little bit further down the order in the overall standings, but he's one to watch, and I think he's my dark horse for these last 6 rounds. He's again done really well in the qualifying session. He just needs to put it all together for a race. And AKM Racing UK, I was going to pick you up there, but how dare you call me Shrek? That's a low blow, that. Paul Hollywood. But no, it's going to be an interesting race. We got around about 2.5 minutes before we start to grid up. Let's see if we can catch any drivers out on track. Alte Rudd, he's had a great qualifying session. Alte Rudd is the top. I think he's the top Am on the field. He is our pole sitter for this Imola round. So, like I said, the BMW seems to be the car of choice where it comes to this. As we were going to go on a border lap, but I decided to not complete it. So we'll move over to Nicholas Gronstrom, our top rookie standing driver at the moment. So everybody's trying to catch him up as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what Nicholas Gronstrom can do of Team Cottable Racing, who seem to be doing quite well out on track. But yeah, so we're just a little bit of a calm before the storm. Just a minute and a half left before we move over to the grid. A bit of Itchinos. But yeah, then we got an hour and 10 minutes of racing with the obligatory pit stop out on track. So it's going to be interesting to see that round. Certainly with this pit stop, and we've seen the ones with the fast entry into the pits, and this is another one with a fast entry. How many people are going to get caught out by that 40-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane? It's always that fine line. And we had Thomas Cope last season do it a few times, and I'm pretty sure he won't mind me saying I'm not going to let you live that one down, Thomas. Out on track, but yeah, it's going to another interesting one coming into the pit stops. But yeah, so currently got 45 seconds before we head over to the grid, and the guys can get the racing underway. So let's watch Simeon here, who is second. He's either second or third. We'll find out very shortly. Anyway, trying to go through them curbs there coming through the Aqua Mineralia turn number 10. They're going to be a treacherous one, certainly on the opening lap as well. I think there's going to be a lot of there could be quite a few incidents on the opening lap of this race. But let's have a look. So we've currently got 5 seconds before we move across to the grid. So it's going to be a good one. And that is it. Let's head over to our grid here for round 6 here at Imola of the Performance Link GT3 Cup. And our pole sitter in the Pro is Thomas Wangham, followed by his teammate Neil Eric Isaacson, Michael Hooper there in 3rd, Ketil Larsen in 4th, Scott Mokes in 5th, Matt Gentrumsbakken in 6th place, Eric Schimantis in 7th, Daniel Sedgley in 8th, and Lars Sorensen with a qualifying ban in P9th. In the top of your Pro-Ams, you got James Logston, Zach Lawson, who's a new driver to the series, and a great fair showing for him, putting it on 2nd place overall in the championship. In 3rd place, we've got Lee King McGee. In 4th place, we got Casper Tungsten. In 5th, we got Alexander Scaret with Russ Fowler in 6th, Christopher Otto in 7th, Michael Goff in 8th, Sander Ireland in 9th, John O'Cook in 10th, and Kim Andre Borkland in 11th. In first place at the AMS, we got Alte Rudd, first place. First time he's been on pole in the AMS. Stefan Albanese in 2nd. Tom Savage in 3rd, with Gordon Haig in 4th. In 5th place, we got Shamapon Asavon. In 6th, Simeon Modeklev with Stefan Anderson in 7th. Patrick Wilde in 8th, Mad Sayer in 9th, and Sammy Hendricks in 10th. Over to the rookies, we've got Alan Sandergaard on pole with Sam Curran in 2nd, Matthew Green in 3rd, and Nicholas Gronstrom in 4th, with Paul Joseph Kliss in 5th and Torbe Mele in 6th, which rounds out your grid here at Imola. And we'll just conveniently get underway here, as only a very short outlap here at Imola before we get the start flag. And it's the 2 IGL coatings of Thomas Wangen and Eric Isaacson at the front. So normal business is resumed as the drivers coming around. So it's all under Thomas, and it's going to be an interesting one because they'll be on Discord talking to each other. So the both of them would have imagined to try to get a good spot to get Ketiel Larson in front of Michael Hooper coming around as they are go now. And it's another great start from Thomas Wangen. Neil Eric Isaacson in 2nd place, and Michael Hooper still managing to keep that 3rd place at the moment. No changes in the pro field, but let's have a look further back at the Pro-Am field. James Logston gets a great start at the start of the Pro-Ams. No changes again in there. There's a little bit of jostling between Lee Keegan-McGee and Casper Tungster. Casper managing to jump Lee in there for 3rd place overall. Looking further back then at the AMS as the AMS come through, Tom Savage still leading out the top of there, up 2 places from where he started. Gordon Haig up 2 places as well. It seems that who's had an incident there, so it looks like Stefan Albanese, Sharampon Asavon and Alte Rudd, who was the top AM, have had an issue earlier on. We'll have a look back at that and see what happened as we look back at the rookies. And Alan Sandergaard still managing to keep that pole position for him. Sam Curran in 2nd, Matthew Green in 3rd, Nicholas Gronstom in 4th, and Paul Joseph Kliss round out your field there. But looks like Alte Rudd had a bit of an issue out on field, and we'll try and see what happened to him. Let's have a look if we can see what happened to him as we... Alte Rudd, where are you? Let's have a look. Alte Rudd went off track. Let's have a look and see what happened to Alte Rudd at the start of this. Coming down to the start finish, all go now. Currently leading. Oh, wow, just past the line there. And we had, I think that was Casper at the back, I think. No, it wasn't Casper. I'm not sure who it was. Oh, and Alte Rudd just taking the wrong line through turn number 1 as well. So all going off in the Anfield. And it's lucky we got that 3-second gap at the top, or otherwise the rookies would have been right on them. They probably were already on them anyway. Lance Sorensen, it looks like he's had a little bit of an issue as well. Let's have a look at what happened to him. So again, coming down off the start finish, all in a line. The treacherous turn number 1, is it? It certainly looks like that. Does he go a little bit too... Oh, he just loses it on his own. Coming around turn number 1. Manages to save it quite well, though. Doesn't lose a lot of time and carries on. But very unorthodox line there into turn number 1. As we get the race standings up for you guys to have a look at. Thomas Wangen still managing to lead out this race. There's no real change in the pro field. In the top 6, you got Thomas Wangen, Neil Eric Isaacson, Michael Hooper, Ketiel Larson, Scott Mokes, Matt Genstrenbacken, Daniel Sedgley's managed to move up 1 place ahead of Arias Humantus in P7th, with Arias moved down to P8th, with Lars Sorensen just heading out that field, obviously after his earlier mistake on track going into turn number 1. But Daniel's obviously there in 3rd in the Pro Championship, so has got a little bit of ground to make up on the rest of the drivers, but needs to make his way through the field. But as you can see, the time attack in them pros all relatively close together. Still very early on, like I said, 3 minutes 30 into an hour and 10-minute race here with it all to go. Let's have a look. Just join in further back. James Logston still leading out the way in the Pro-Am, getting a little bit of a gap at the moment to Zach Lawson, who's a great opening round for him. First round in the GT3 Cup is Zach Lawson there in second place. 0.8 of a second behind James Logston. And then further back than that, you have Casper Tungstad, who is 1.5 seconds behind. Oh, as James Logston looks like he's had an issue here. He certainly has. Let's have a joint back with him. He is just piling down there. So an unforced error looks like from James Logston, probably through, that looks like it might have been through Villeneuve that he had the issue. Let me see if I can find what happened here. There we go. Let's have a look at see what happens to James Logston. Coming around turn. This is coming around turn number 3. Tamburello coming down into Villeneuve. Does he just hit the court? Oh, there we go. Just as I said, them treacherous sausage curbs on the inside literally just clipped it, front end run right in the air, and he was off. Managed to save himself from getting any damage, and luckily got out of the racing line for the rest of it, but not where James wanted to be really after heading out the Pro-Am field. So finds himself down in P16th, P7th overall in class. Still got within touching distance of the top of the drivers, but it's going to be a hard day again at the office for James, but we do know he is super quick. Heading out this group here is Russ Fowler with a fantastic new livery on that Audi. It does have Christian Otto just behind him, James Logton, Michael Goff, Jonathan Cook, Sander Ireland. You can sort of see how close they are from P14 all the way down to the top of your AM driver, Tom Savage, in P21. And you can just see Tom there just on the back of this group, again, pulling out a lead 1.5 seconds ahead of Simeon Moldeclef in second place. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Patrick Wild, who's round about 2.6 seconds behind Simeon, and then we have a little bit of a free car train, but with Stefan Anderson, Gordon Haig, all following on nicely as we can watch the battle here out on track. And Simeon needs to make sure that he tries to score some valuable points, but at the moment Tom again seems to be pulling out of the field. Looking further back then at the rookies, we've got Alan Sandergaard in first place at the moment, P30 overall, but we can see that rookie field is close together, so it should be some entertaining racing there. We've got Sam Curran in second place in the rookie field in the Team Bear Pope livery in the Mercedes, but it's going to be a hard day, I think, a hard slog for a lot of these cars, certainly cars that don't take the bumps well, such as the Mercedes, the Porsches we just saw with James. I think one car that has the advantage here is the BMW. Now, the BMW we all know is very good at going across curbs, so can probably eat a lot more than a lot of the other cars out on track. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody like Michael Hooper in third place there can try and overcome the two BMWs in the top two positions in the Pro. Zach Lawson is now your leader after that earlier incident with James Logston in, again, a BMW. You can sort of see he takes a little bit of the sausage curbs coming through Villeneuve and doesn't really move the car a lot at all. So Zach doing a great job and has got a decent lead over Lee King McGee in second place to the tune of 3.5 seconds. So at the moment, Zach is in no man's land. 3.5 seconds ahead to Lance Sorensen, the back of the Pro field, and then 3.5 seconds behind him is Lee King McGee. So certainly just needs to cut his lines through this very technical track here. But let's have a look back at Lee. We got Casper Tungsten just following him neatly in the Porsche, 0.5 of a second, and then Alexander Scarrett just behind Casper. So there should be some action. You look further back in the field there, that big long train that we were mentioning. Look at that. That's probably around about 8 cars involved into that as we see a lunge going into Viriate Alta, the very unorthodox move to try to get that, but we will see drivers trying to make that passing move through there. It's not always one to be able to do. So looking further back now at Russ Valley, we just see that train, Otto, Logston, Goff, Cook, Sander Island, and then a slight little gap to Kim Andre Borkland, and then he's being chased heavily by Tom Savage and Simeon Modiklev. So there's looking back from Kim Andre Borkland's car, you can sort of see there coming around the field, the two AM drivers at the moment pulling away from the rest of the field, and the best of the rest is Stefan Andersson of Dane Racing in third place at the moment, but 4.1 seconds already at this early stage. Very tricky track. You can just see the timings of the drivers and who's going to be at the top and where they're going to be, and who's good at this track and who's lagging a little bit behind. But yeah, you can see the gaps already telling in that Anfield. You got Stefan Andersson here 4 seconds behind Tom Savage. Oh, we just missed there. Tom Savage, let's join back up for this race at the top of the AMs. And Simeon Modiklev has managed, got that inside line here on Tom to be able to get the passing move done. So a great passing move there coming over Piriata, coming down to Alto Aqua Minerale here. And yeah, that BMW, like I said, can probably take the corners a little, the curbs a little bit more than the Mercedes. We saw how well the Mercedes did out in Barcelona. So this is certainly going to be a battle that's good, probably in tune for the whole of the race. I think it's going to come down to, unfortunately, probably a mistake between one of these two drivers to see who takes it. But Simeon's doing all he can at the moment, currently leading out the AMs to try and gain some valuable points back from the lead that Tom has at the top of the standings. So at the moment, it's good news for Simeon. Tom's still in a very strong position in second place, but does have his teammate in front of him, Kim Andre Borkland, to maybe try and give him a little bit of a fight in hand here. Is the Sim Racing Norway guys there, just in front, you can see there. Looking further back then, Alan Sandergaard is leading out still the rookie field, 3.8 seconds behind Gordon Haig of the AM class, but has managed to get himself in front of Sammy Hendricks there. So just have a car in between himself and Sam Curran, who's trying to chase him down. You can just see him there in the Mercedes, in the very bright yellow and green Team Bear Pulp there, just 2 cars back. But then we have behind him Nicholas Gronstrom, our leader in the rookie field, still in third place. So, you know, not out of the picture by any stretch of the imaginations. Then you got Alte Rudd after his bit of an issue at the start, round turn number 1, and then Paul Joseph Clist, who's currently in 4th place in that rookie, but well off the pace at the moment of the rest of the field, 2.5 seconds behind Alte Rudd, but then it's a 7.9 seconds to the back of Nicholas Gronstrom. So the best part of 10 seconds is Paul Joseph Clist behind Nicholas Gronstrom. And what is going to be interesting to see is Paul Joseph Clist going to be able to get a 0x? If he does around this one, it's a monster of a task, because it is such a tricky track to not get them pesky off tracks around Imola. So it's going to be an interesting one to see. But let's move back up to the pros and let's see what's happened there. Thomas Wangen still in first place, 0.39 ahead of his teammate Neil Eric Isaacson, but has critically got a 2.8 second gap back to Kjetil Larsen, the other IGL coating e-racing by Kenzo. So the sister team of the IGL coatings team currently in third place. Daniel Sedgley has moved up 4 places from where he is. You can see him, the BMW at the back here on track. So he's making his way up steadily. Currently in P4, 1.3 seconds, 1.1 seconds behind Kjetil Larsen in third place. So started off towards the back end of the grid, didn't manage to make the qualifying, so ended up starting, as you see there, the back end of that BMW just clipping that sausage curb coming through the Aqua Minerale turn number 10, luckily managing to save it and not coming off sideways. But as we come down here now into 13 minutes into this hour and 10 race, we can see Scott Mokes, after having an excellent last round there in 5th place, pretty much where he started on track. So the only movers really in the pro field are Daniel Sedgley up 4 places, Kjetil Larsen up 1, and Lance Sorensen has managed to go up 1, with Michael Hooper is now in P9. So let me see if I can try and find out what happened to Michael. Here we go. Let's have a look at what happened to Michael after his strongest qualifying start here. This is at the top, coming down now into Rivazza. Does he manage to... is it a Rivazza? Yes, it is. Coming down Rivazza. Does he take it a little bit too quick and just get spat off? You can see... Oh, my word. Who was that? Was that Gordon Haig, I think, in front of him? But yeah, got completely caught out by the McLaren in front and lost a load of time there and puts him now back to the back end of the pro field. Looking further back, Zach Lawson is still managing to eke out a little bit more of a time, about 0.4 of a second over Lee King McGee. So it's a great opening round for Zach Lawson here in the Pro-Am division. Certainly has the pace here at Imola. But joining the season probably that late, it's... he's not going to be in the realms for the championship, but he can certainly have a little bit of fun and see where he is out on track. Obviously, we are into 6 rounds. You do get 2 drop scores, but even with that, Zach probably didn't join it to challenge at the top, but certainly doing a great showing at the moment at the top of the Pro-Am. So let's have a look at further back. Alexander Scaret there in 4th overall in the tournament, getting a bit squirrely out of that corner in the BMW. Coming up, I'm pretty sure that is Gordon Haig at the back there, the lone Macca out on track, so not having another good day at the office. But Alexander Scaret here just challenging Casper, and we'll see what happens going down into turn 1 as we follow on board with Alexander. Trying to get that slipstream in effect. It really comes on really late into this start-finish straight. Weren't able to do that. So again, it looks like Casper has gone for a low downforce setting because Alexander could not get that slipstream effect to pay off for him that time round as they're coming around into Villeneuve again. But these two locked together in an epic battle for that 3rd place overall in that Pro-Am field. It's spread out a little bit further back. We did see Russ Valley. You can just see him in the background there. Had around about 8 or 9 cars for a little bit of a train going on, but managing to pull away a little bit. 1.8 seconds now behind Alexander Scaret, but Christopher Otterholt behind him has got that 3-car train just behind him of Jonathan Cook, Michael Goff from the AKM racing team there at the back end of this train. As we just go on board, let's have a look and see what happens here. 0.6 of a second behind there, but very tricky, and it's really off-camber corner, easy to get to the 1X there and a slowdown as well. So you really need to make sure that your lines coming through that turn number 10 of the Acque Minerali is good, and we'll watch him again as he goes over Viriate Alta. I think Iracing have probably doled down some of them curbs because they used to be really savage whenever I've driven around here at Imola, and if you took it a little bit too spicy, then basically it would have your car up in the air. But at the moment, some of the cars are able to make their moves on there. But Michael Goff at the back of this train of cars. This is for P6th overall. Currently, Michael in P8th. So these 3 cars closely following each other. But let's look at further back. You got Tom Savage at the moment. Go on board with Tom, trying to chase down Simeon Motorclev. Great pictures there of the sun just tipping above the trees now, so the drivers will have that to contend with as well as the sun in their eyes as we come into dusk here at Imola. And like I said, maybe touching on a little bit of the night racing as well. But Simeon seems to have the pace, like I said, does have his teammate in front as well of Kim Andre Borkland to give him a little bit of a tow to neutralise the tow effect that Tom will have as well. Looking further back then, we have Sander, who's not had the best of rounds really moving up. He had a really good start. I think it was 3rd overall in Montreal in round 1. But since then has sort of gone a little bit off the boil, has Sander. Struggling a little bit to keep up. And you see him there behind these 2 leaders in the AM there in the other Sim Racing Norway BMW car. But coming up here into Virialte Alta, not really an opportunity on track, just like a nice big train. But we can see there Thomas Wangen doing the fastest lap, a 42.12, getting close to the qualifying time. I think the qualifying time was a 141.3, I believe it was. But Thomas Wangen and Iracing out front, pretty much following each other, as we normally come to see in this championship. The two IGL Coatings team, these two locked together with the Olympus Esports messing up the fun on a couple of the rounds here. But at the moment, you can see the top three there, all the same livery. Two BMWs with a Mercedes in third place of Kjetil Larsen. But Daniel Sergi now is closing in on the IGL Coatings Mercedes car there in fourth place, 0.7 of a second behind. So can he able to get that extra place? And Daniel's doing exceptionally well. One out in Watkins Glen in our night race there with an imperious performance. And ever since then, he's very consistent at what he's scoring here in this league, and currently in P4, up 4 places, our biggest mover in the pro field, and does have Kjetil Larsen within his sights to be able to make a passing opportunity. Looking further back, let's have a look for let's go back to Gordon Haig here. In fact, I might have done him an injustice because I don't believe that was the colour of the car in the Macca. That was good. So Gordon there running around in P6 in the flame throwing Macca, as if by cue there, the flames coming out the back, but he's in a bit of a battle with Patrick Wild and Shamapon Asavon in 7th place, who's the car just behind him in Dane Racing. So these three having a really good battle out on track as well for the minor places, 5th, 6th and 7th in that Anfield. Looking further back then, we got Michael Green, currently in P4 of the rookie class. He does have a slight lead over Paul Joseph Clist of 2 seconds, and then has a 4.4 seconds gap to Mad Sayer just in front as well. So a little bit of a quiet day at the office, I think, for Matthew. I think he missed out on the last round in Barcelona, did Matthew Green, but of Sim Party Racing there. Is that a kebab racing sign? Kebab with a seal? Oh, there we go. As we look there. And looking further back, we got Paul Joseph Clist, probably struggling a little bit out here in the Porsche. Is Paul Joseph Clist currently in P5, up 1 position from where he started. And it looks like, I think, is Alte Rudd still going around? No, Alte Rudd has decided to call it a day. It was Torben Meile was the Macca that was involved with Michael Hooper coming down into Rivatsa. So it was not having a great day at the office is Torben Meile. Yeah, I think, is he still on the same lap? Yes, I believe he is still on the same lap, just to the rest of the field. So that Macca, as he gets it slightly wrong and hits the wall, that certainly won't be on the same lap now. That car must have some damage there, but let's have a look on board. Can he actually steer the car? Still trying to do get back around, because you do lose a lot of time, but he needs to be really wary of other cars around him. Steering looks quite straight, still able to do the speed, but that aero damage and that will be severe, as you see him there without a hood on that Macca. So I would imagine he will be coming into the pits. Could he do it? Yes. I mean, if he went into the pits now, he should be able to do the rest of the race. Obviously, get his fast repair. Each driver does get 2 fast repairs. As we talk about people going into the pits, we got Michael Goff going into the pits. Very early start for Michael. Is this a drive-through or is this a pit stop? Let's have a look. He's coming towards the end. No, he has already got to that 20 incident point. That's only 23 minutes into this race, and we already have our first driver. I did say at the start that a lot of the drivers were saying that they were struggling with getting the off tracks around here. Now you add in the times 4 incidents for making contact with another car, and it can soon rack up super quick. And Michael looks like he's our first casualty 23 minutes into this hour and 10-minute race, and now it's every 10 after this that he will get a drive through. So we may see Michael going through the pits a few more times, with only having a 10x now before he has to come through the pits again. But yeah, early days in this race to be reaching that incident level on track. But if he has, I mean, he's got a 15 seconds, so he has stopped. It was a pit stop. It was a pit stop. So I thought it was a little bit early, out on 24 minutes to be able to. So Michael is our first one in for a pit stop. James Logston has also been in the pits, 11.9 seconds. Michael Gough's pit start was a 15.45, so around about 4 seconds slower than James Logston in the pits. Michael's only got one incident, so he's doing well then, isn't he? So we'll see if anybody else goes through, but sorry there for Michael for saying that he might have reached that incident level, so clearly hasn't, and gone early in the pit stop round. So we'll see. There's a couple of them come in. We've got Sam Curran come in from Team Bear Pope. We've got Shamapon Asavon come in for Dane Racing as well into the pit. So very much the AMs and the rookies are trying something a little bit different here and going early. You got Kim Andre Borkland. He was in the pit for a minute at the box, so I wonder if Kim Andre Borkland did manage to speed, because that certainly seems like a speeding plus a tyre change. So that's going to be an interesting one to find out if Kim Andre Borkland had the dreaded 40-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pits. Let's have a look back up with our leader. Thomas Wangen still leading out the way, and his shadow behind Neil Eric Isaacson, 0.3 of a second, managed to get a 3.6 second gap over Ketiel Larson in third place. But Daniel Sedgley now is all over the back of Ketiel Larson's Mercedes here, 0.6 of a second. So I have brought that down around about 1/10 of a second, the gap, but then sort of goes up to 7.8 here. So that Mercedes seems to be quite quick through Villeneuve turns 5 and 6, but certainly over the rest, like, we should see that BMW closing back in. But Daniel at the moment in P5. Scott just behind him, you can see there the lone Porsche in the Olympus Esports livery here, just out on his own, 2.1 seconds behind Daniel and 3.7 seconds against Matt Genstrom-Bakken in 6th place. So in a bit of no man's land is Scott after his flying high out at Barcelona, finds himself in P5 with a little bit of work to do to try and catch up to his teammate in 4th place, or the Olympus team, should I say. They are on different teams, them two guys. But currently going around in P5th. Let's have a look back in then on Zach Lawson. Zach Lawson still heading out that Pro-Am field, and currently has a 4.5 second lead over Lee King McGee in 2nd place. So managing to stretch out that lead is Zach Lawson in 10th at the moment, and first outing in the Performance Link GT3. Let's have a look at where the congestion is on track. You can sort of see now in the track map, the field is pretty much spread out over the whole of the track. You have all the pros together. They are quite neat, compact with the pros and the pro-ams, and then you have sporadic positionings of the AMs with the rookies and a couple of pro-ams. 27th, who is that? That is James Logston. He is, again, not having the best of rounds here. James, he is currently in P10th. He has made his stop, so a lot of the other Pro-Am field haven't. So he has gone early to see if he can manage to pick up a few more positions. Gives him a little bit of free air. He is 2.6 seconds behind Nicholas Gronstrom, who is our rookie lead in the championship P2 overall. Alan Sandergaard having a great race, but you can sort of see the timing gap here now that Nicholas Gronstrom is catching Alan Sandergaard only 0.8 of a second back, and this is for the lead of the rookie class. Alan Sandergaard is my dark horse for the championship, certainly in his last 6 rounds. You know, it's been plagued with slight little issues, but always been at the top half of the field in the races. So hopefully I haven't jinxed Alan there, but seems to be doing a great race again for Dane Racing there, leading out the rookie field. But Nicholas Gronstrom is closing in that gap, so these two probably together in a couple of laps' time. Looking back at Kjetil Larsen now, Daniel Sedgley has managed to get right onto the back end of that Mercedes of Kjetil Larsen. You can sort of look back here from Kjetil's how close Daniel is. Does lose a little bit of ground there through turns 1 and 2 through Tamburello. Sort of stretches out again to around about 0.5, 0.6 of a second. So this part of the circuit seems to be where Kjetil does have the advantage over Daniel, but it seems to be the second half of the race that BMW behind us. We can just see there. Torben has not actually gone into the pits. He's still driving around with his bonnet still missing from that Macca. I don't think that cools you down anymore, mate, and maybe affecting your slipstream, Torben. So it might be worth pitting, getting your fast repair, because you certainly will make it to the end of the race. We're nearly halfway through, 30 minutes into this 1 hour and 10 minute race. We still have over 3/4 of the field still owing us a pit stop. Our top pit stoppers, Kim-Andre Bortland, currently in P16, 7th in the class. How many? He is 3.3 seconds behind Christopher Otterholt. So I'm just having a look there. He should do quite well here, is Kim. He was at the back of the group, took that little pit stop a little bit early. But you can sort of see the timings, 1.2 seconds Christopher Otto in front of him, 0.3 in front of that, 0.8, and then 9 seconds. So it may be that Kim might be able to get P3 overall. Just have a look at the weather, see what the weather's doing. The track temperature come down 1 degree, currently 24 degrees C, 23 ambient air temperature. So ideal track conditions for these cars here at Imola. What might not be, and let's have a look if we can look on Andre, that sun. That sun may be hitting in there. You can sort of see as they come down this start finish around this next corner. I think that's when the sun peaks. No, it's managed to just go below the trees. So luckily the sun is not in the eyes, because this is a really treacherous part of the circuit. Them curbs there, them sausages and black and yellow sausage curbs, they are absolutely treacherous. If you get it slightly wrong coming through them lines, you can certainly get taken out by them curbs. And we saw earlier with James Logston literally coming airborne, going over the sausage curbs that Kim has just managed to nearly go over in that BMW. So that shows the difference between the cars out on track, where the BMW can take a lot more of the corner. Let's have a look, and we'll put a class displays up on you to show you who is leading out of the way. So in our pros, we've got Thomas Wangen. In the Pro-Am, we've got Lawson. In Am, we've got Savage, who has managed to leapfrog Simeon Moldeklev. Simeon has lost a little bit of time, so there might have been an incident there. And in the rookie class, we got Sondergaard, who does have Nicholas Gronstrom for company earlier on. Let's see if I can find what possibly happened to Sander. Not that Sander coming off the track. Just having a look, see if I can find the passing. No, Sander can't find it at the moment. But I'll have a look and see if I can find what happened. But we do. Looks like we've had a few crashes. We've got Patrick Wild here. Let's have a look and see what happened to him. In the Bear Poke Zero team coming down here into Aqua Minerale. Does he just get it completely wrong? Does he hit them curbs on the inside of this corner? Let's have a look. Yes, he does. There we go. That's a prime example of what the Porsche is not very good at, is taking them curbs. Hit that curb, pretty much the same as James. Carbon copy. Got that front end really loose and wasn't able to turn in. Great recovery though. No damage to his car, so lives to fight another day. We have another crash here to show you. Iracing Mantis. Let's have a look, see what happened to him. Change cars to the Audi. Coming down here into turn number 1. Looked like he took that really deep, but really great corner. Oh, is it another? Oh, no. I think it was the Macca in front just slightly slowing, and then the car behind, one of the IGO Coatings team, just clipped the back end of Arias and spun him off. But you can see here, Arias just choosing his time to come back on, composing himself before he gets underway. So a bit of an unfortunate one there for Arias through there. I think that was Torbin again, just slightly there. Michael Hooper looks like he's had another incident out on track. Let's have a look at this. Coming thick and fast here. Michael coming down. Where is this on the track? This is exactly the same part. This is a carbon copy. Let's watch out now. You can see there, Torbin's just went in really hot into there. Probably the Macca just slightly pushing him off. Great recovery and loses probably around about 2 or 3 seconds, but then manages to carry on. But what the problem is with this new tyre model, them tyres will be worn. But I'm pretty sure that all the drivers, with this track being quite technical with slow and fast corners, that they will be changing out the tyres during the round of pit stops. Certainly while they're refueling anyway. Let's have a look at the rookie class. So Nicholas has managed to close the gap to Alan Sandgaard, 0.5 of a second. Starting another lap, coming down the start finish straight here. Let's go on board with Nicholas to see if he can get the opportunity or close that gap. Oh, there we go. There's the sun that was on about before, just shining through the trees. Luckily, it's only a little bit and not a hard part of the corner like here where there's a heavy braking. But you can sort of see here, Alan just keeping himself ahead of Nicholas Gronstrom here in P2 in the rookie class. But some great battling out on track between these two. And it's good to see Alan at the front of the AMs. Looking further back in the rookies, my apologies, further back, Matthew Green again in P3. Just making a passing move there. I think that's on Mad Sayer. Yes, it was. He just managed to get past Mad Sayer there. Having a little bit of a battle between interclass here, between himself and Mad Sayer in behind. And you got Sammy Hendricks. So Mads and Sammy not having the best of rounds here in P30 and 31, 8th and 9th currently in class. But Matthew Green, after having a little bit of free air, has managed to close up to have a little bit of fun with other classes, should I say. So Matthew going quite strongly there in third, although you can sort of see how far off they are between the battle between Alan Sandgaard and Nicholas Gronstrom, to the tune of around about 25 seconds, I would say, looking at that timing tower. To the back of that top battle between Alan Sandgaard and Nicholas Gronstrom. But still going quite strong with a podium position at the moment is Matthew Green. Looking further back, Paul Joseph Clist is in 4th in the rookie class. Out on track, pretty much going around on his own. You can see 3 seconds to Shavapon Asavon in front and 8.6 seconds to Sam Curran. Has he made a pit stop? He has not, so could get overtaken in the pits between one of the other rookie drivers of Sam Curran, currently in P5. Matthew Green still hasn't pitted as well. I think the only ones in that rookie field, just looking to see, Sam Curran has pitted. Yes, he is the only one in that rookie field that's pitted. So probably might find himself again back up, trying to close some of that gap that he was behind Nicholas Gronstrom. So that should be entertaining coming into the latter half of the race. Currently 37 minutes into this hour and 10 minutes race. Probably the tightest battle on track again is in the Pro-Am field. We can sort of see here Russ Fowler at the top of the group, Casper Tungsten, John O'Cook, who we're riding on board with what looks like teeth at the front of that Mercedes. I'm trying to think, that reminds me of some Pixar cartoon. I'm sure it does. I'm trying to rack my brains of which one it is. But I'm sure our wonderful viewers in the YouTube will be able to tell. But as soon as I saw it, it just popped into my head. I just can't think of the name. But currently trying to chase down at the moment Casper, who is in 3rd place. Russ Fowler has had an exceptional run. He has found himself up into P2 in that Pro-Am field. I'm just having a look at see what happened to Zach Lawson. Zach Lawson has pitted 27.33 is his time, so it looks like he might have taken all 4 tyres to do, so that may put him down the order, because I'm just looking at the pit stop timings, and roundabout average is roundabout probably between 11 and 15 seconds seems to be, but there's very much a split out on track. You've got Iracing, he's done a 26.3. You've got Michael Hooper, who's done a 12-second pit stop, and then you have Zach Lawson, who's done a 27. But at the moment, in second place here is Russ Fowler, who does have Casper Tungsten, John O'Cook and Christopher Otterhope behind him for company again. So it sort of closed up that gap where Russ was starting to get away from the rest of this Pro-Am field. But they've worked together and clawed him back in. So now there is a 4-horse race for this second place. But out front in that Pro-Am field is Lee King McGee. Does have a sizable gap, 12.7 seconds ahead of Russ Fowler, 1.3 seconds behind Lance Sorensen in the pro field. So Lee again having another good round. It'd be interesting to see where the round of pit stops, where Lee King comes out in respects to Zach, because Zach was pulling away slightly. It was around about 4 seconds, so I'm pretty sure Lee's being told that his pit stops around about 27 seconds. So if he can eke that down to what is the average time, around about 13 seconds, he should come out with a gap on his side. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lee King McGee does in that round of pit stops. But currently at the moment he is heading out the field in that hotly contested Pro-Am field. Looking further back then, Tom Savage still managing to keep that number 1 spot in the Am, currently 3.2 seconds ahead of Simeon Moldeklev. So managed to make that passing move on him, and has just pulled out a gap at the moment. And Tom Savage now is putting pressure on his teammate. Obviously a different class here, Kim-Andre Borkland in the Pro-Ams, but Tom Savage certainly showing his pace in that Mercedes. He's, I wouldn't expect the Mercedes to be doing very well around these tight tracks. I mean, we were speaking last week out in Barcelona, and we were saying that the car of choice we thought was going to be the Porsche, but it very much seems that the Mercedes is doing well, the BMW is exceptionally well, very much an all-round car, and being able to take some of them curbs is probably an advantage. We've seen some of the Porsches, James Logston getting slightly hit, and a couple of his other teammates in the Porsche cars getting it slightly wrong through Aqua Minerale. Commentator's curse. How dare you call me Shrek? I take great offence to that. No, I don't really have AKM Racing UK. Obviously, that's the dad of the group, I assume, that's in the chat. Shrek. I've never been called Shrek. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I'll take it as a positive. He must be loaded in his swamp. But anyway, back to the racing. Tom Savage here putting a little bit of pressure under Kim-Andre Borkland. And Tom is doing exceptionally well. Again, fighting with classes above him. But I have to have a look at his performances. And if it continue on, he may have to move up the class. I don't know, but we can see as our admins. But at the moment, Tom's doing an exceptional job, leading out the way here at Imola, leading out the Anfield. Oh, Kim-Andre Borkland gets it slightly wrong up the top of the hill and just goes off wide. Manages to save it as he comes back on, but just took that a little bit too hot, and now he has his teammate Simeon Moldeklev just behind him, 0.5, which is probably not a bad thing. Gives him a slipstream. Tried to get him back up to Tom Savage. He does have around about 2 seconds to try and claw back here. So these two might find that they'll work together to try and close that gap down to Tom in the front of the Anfield. Let's have a look at. Let's just join in on James, currently in P9 again, 0.4 of a second. He has made his pit stop, 11.95 seconds. So Zach Lawson, who is in front, just the car in front. So this just shows you that taking them 4 tyres, James was well off the pace of Zach, and now James finds himself tucked up behind the rear wing of Zach's car. So that 27 seconds could be extremely costly for Zach Lawson, who was pretty much had a commanding lead in this Pro-Am field, but a 10-second extra pit stop here and pretty much 16 seconds to what James Logsdon did, finds himself now currently in P8, with James Logsdon in P9. So it could be a little bit of battle between these two, but we have seen that these two do have exceptional pace around it earlier on in this round with the two of the drivers. Obviously it was James that had that little bit of an incident coming down into Villeneuve, the corner we're just about to watch him. So he's probably learned from that mistake to make sure he stays well off this curb. You can see taking it a little bit wider now through that section of track through Villeneuve before they come up here into Tossa turn number 7 as he goes up the hill. So there's James Logsdon after that earlier issue. Let's have a look further back. Alexander Scuret still having a big battle with Michael for that P10th and 11th overall in that Pro-Am field. Both of these drivers have pitted in the Pro-Am field, trying to chase down the Zach Lawson and James Logsdon battle that's going off in front of them to the tune. I'm just having a look at the times. Around about 8 seconds is the gap that these two are, but these two are having a really good battle between themselves. Alexander Square and Michael Goff there in P10th and 11th, 24th and 25th out on track. Looking further back then with, let's have a look in at Mad Sail. Let's have a look at see how he's getting on. Currently in P8th in class, down in 32nd overall. Pretty much 1.5 seconds to Sam Curran. Does have Sam Hendricks behind him, 29 seconds behind. So Sammy's not having the best of races for Sim Party Racing there. He has made his pit. Mads still owes us a pit stop, so that gap will probably be closed down after the round spot. It's very difficult to find out where they are out on track when it comes round, when you've got, say, a quarter of the field now that have taken their pit stops and a quarter haven't. So until after the rounds of the pit stops, we can see who then has sort of getting. You can see the timings now coming in from the top 5, all in the 141.4. Let's join it in back as we join with the usual pictures. And I believe we've got him on camera. Let's have a look. Yes, we do. Let's have a look at the setup and what angles he's showing us today. So we can, it's over the shoulder look from Thomas Wangen here, currently out in front. So a good view of what he sees with his many screens. He was on the podcast last week. I think it was 6 screens in total he has got. He's got 3 main ones, and then you can see his display in front, one above his main screen, and he's got a plethora of smaller screens around him, and you can see his stream deck there with all his needs that he does want out on track. But nice view of what Thomas is currently looking at. Currently leading out the way, 0.4 of a second to his teammate. These two are glued together at the moment, and they manage to just eke out every lap a little bit more time. Currently 6.7 seconds behind the battle for the third place between Ketua Larson and Daniel Sedgley as we look out on track with these two drivers. The lights are now on the cars. Let's have a look at the weather. Let's see what time it is. It's 7:45 in the evening. So I think it's around about 8:10 it goes dark, I believe, or something like that. So in the next 15, so I reckon maybe the last 10 minutes it'll certainly be getting darker out on track. But you can see the track temperature still remaining at 24 degrees overall. Looking further back, looks like a nice little train going on here with a mixture of AMs and Pro-Am. So we've got Simeon Motorclev that are currently on board. Is at the back of this train of 5 cars. Kim Andre Paul is just in front. Then you got the leader of the AMS, Tom Savage, with Christopher Otterholt and Casper Tungsten just at the front of this group as we see some of the cars just peeling off. That was Christopher Otterholt from this group. So he goes in for his pit stop. So Kim Andre Portland seems to be in a quite strong position at the moment. He is there just third in this trainer car. He is the only Pro-Am at the moment. He is the top Pro-Am that has made a pit stop, but he had a 1 minute pit stop out on track, so that was probably some to the tune of 40 seconds for a stop-go penalty, if that is correct. But he seems to be doing it quite well. Currently only around about 2 seconds behind Casper Tungsten. I don't know if that timing tower is correct, because he wouldn't be that close, I wouldn't imagine, to the rest of the Pro-Am field if you had a minute pit stop. So there might be a little bit of bug in the software, because that doesn't seem to be right. But I'm sure we'll find out. But while we're waiting, we're currently tipping over into the 50 minutes. We've got 20 minutes left of this race. Still over half the field owe us a pit stop here. Getting towards the magical hour marker of there. So certainly the top drivers will not be changing tyres, I wouldn't imagine. But this is a heated battle going on here for... Currently watching Kim Andre Portland in P5. You've got Simeon Moldeclev just in front of his teammate. Then Tom Savage. So the gap has closed down between... Let's just ride on board between himself and Tom Savage here for the win in this AM. And Simeon has not given up the ghost here to try and make that opportunity pay. Probably got tied up a little bit, Tom, in traffic is how Simeon has been able to go. Or it could be that his teammate, Kim Andre Portland, after that slight little mistake we saw, has helped his teammate get back up onto the back of Tom Savage. The gap was around about 2 seconds. It's now down, as you can see on the sort of timing tower, to around about 0.6 of a second. But there is obviously Casper Tungsten there in between them now of the Porsche just in front. So Simeon has to just make a passing opportunity here, and I wonder if he's be able to make that passing move. This deep lunge into Tulsa there, managing to get it done and battle on again right behind his teammate, or sorry, his team rival, his class rival of Tom Savage there, just in front. So it's going to be an interesting battle as we tip over the 50-minute marker. So 19 minutes left of this race to go. Let's have a look further back. We got Kjetil Larsen still getting hounded by Daniel Sessi, but Daniel's not being able to make the passing opportunity tower. It seems to get to this second. He's back around about 0.3, 0.4 of a second, but then sort of loses a little bit of time through this section. Just watch the time and see if it goes up, or if Daniel's able to negate what was seemed like an advantage for Kjetil Larsen in third place. You can see the time slightly going up. It's just creeps up through this section of the track ever so slightly every lap, and Daniel has to do it again to get him down. So it gets him down to 0.3 of a second before being able to do so. He might actually decide to try and undercut Kjetil here in the round of pit stops to be able to make the opportunity pay, because I'm not sure if Kjetil's holding up Daniel or what, but it certainly would make a point to try and undercut Kjetil in the pits. But Kjetil managing to keep out front and pretty much been there for the whole entirety of this race between these two, and it'd be interesting to see if Daniel is able to make the passing and move into the closing stages of this race. Just looking down the time and tower, see if we've had any more incidents. It looks like we had. Let's have a look at one earlier on from Sam Curran, who was trying to chase down from Team Bear Pope. What happens to Sam coming down here into Rivera in turn 14? Oh, just loses that back end. Does he save it? He saves it exceptionally well to Sam Curran and keeps on going. So scuffed a little bit of his tyres there coming down into Ravazza, but manages to save it quite well, really. Let's have a look at another crash here of Mads Sayer. See what happens to Mads. Where are we on track? Let's have a look. Coming down into Villeneuve. Does he hit the curb? Does hit that one, but just loses the back end. It might have been that he did go over that curb quite hard. The car didn't look like he got a little bit unsettled, but obviously it clearly did, because came into the next corner and just spun out there. So it's a bit of an unfortunate one there for Mads. Just looking down the time in town now, Gordon Haig out in track currently P4th in the Anfield is trying to close down on Michael Hooper after probably what was his strongest qualifying for Michael, as sort of in P8th in that Pro, so towards the back end of the Pro, so just does not seem to be able to catch a break, does Michael. I mean, last season we just saw him exceptionally strong with himself and Patrick Thompson, having an epic battle at the top of the pros standings as well. But certainly now he's been moved up to the pros, as struggling for a little bit of pace is Michael Hooper. Gordon is having another good round here, P4th, a little bit off Stefan's Sorry about that. Hopefully the sound is back, guys. It looks like it is. I'm not sure what happened there. But thanks for letting me know. And we're back to live racing. And hopefully you probably good to not hear me for a little bit anyway, I would imagine. But Iracing has managed to jump Thomas Wangen. It looks like he's jumped him in the pits. 13.10 second for Iracing. Thomas Wangen a 14.8. So I think that's where the damage has been done in the pits again. Thomas taking a little bit more fuel than Iracing, and Neil has capitalised on that and got in front of his teammates. And it's 1.3 seconds. You can see there Daniel Sedgwick is now in the pits. So the big thing for Daniel is, has he leapfrogged Kjetil Larsen for that third place? So let's have a look, see where Kjetil is. He is currently coming down to Ravazza. I think he will be able to do it here, is Daniel. He is in the pits. He is stationary. He is going. So let's have a look on board of Kjetil Larsen. He's just coming around the last corner. Where do we see Daniel? He is out. I think he has managed to leapfrog Kjetil Larsen in the pits. Did go an extra 2 laps than what Kjetil did, and he's got a bit of a sizable lead. You can sort of see here Kjetil Larsen just coming around there, and there is Daniel just going around Tamburello, I believe. Let's have a look. Yes, it was. And Daniel has managed to leapfrog to get into third place, only 1 second behind Thomas Wangen. So has made up a mountain of time. His pit stop was 8.47 seconds. So clearly hasn't taken any tyres. Left his tyres all out there on the track and has now found himself right behind Thomas Wangen. So this is a great bit of pit stop strategy for Daniel to be able to not only leapfrog Kjetil Larsen, but to close down the gap as well to Thomas Wangen in second place. You can see there Thomas Wangen falling back a little bit here, 2 seconds behind now Iracing. So this is the battle on track. 9 minutes left of this round to go. 0.6 of a second. So can Daniel overtake Thomas Wangen for that second place? Only time will tell. Let's have a look further back then before we get into that heated thingy. And we will see Leaky McGee has managed to get out front. As we said, he has a bit of a sizable gap. Look at who's in second place. James Logden, after an absolute earlier. Look at the melee of cars behind him. James Logden has managed to get past Zach Lawson, has Tom Savage, the Mercedes that's behind Zach, then has John O'Cook, then has Russ Fowler, all for company. But this just reminds me of Spa in season 1. James looked like he was completely out of this. Had his incident earlier on in the race that put him down, but has just steadily chipped away and has managed to find himself in P2 in that Pro-Am category. Zach Lawrenson probably made a little bit of a mistake in that pit strategy, going 27 seconds. Probably changed every tyre as well as obviously brooming out his car. There may have been a little bit of an issue there for him that he didn't uncheck his tyres or something like that. But Zach, who was heading out the Pro-Am field, now finds himself in P3, so it's still a very good one, but does have Tom Savage behind him, John O'Cook and Russ Fowler, who are the ones that are fighting for him for position, trying to chase him back. But what a fantastic bit of driving here from James Logston to be able to get up. In fact, I think we can actually go on board and see what the composure of James. Let's have a look. Yes, we can. Let's have a look at how chill the man is with his epic beard power going on there. And James is very much just chilled going around. It does look a little bit of concentration going on in the face there for James, but not hardly surprising after being the pole sitter for that Pro-Am field, having that incident, getting down to around about 9th, 10th in class, just steadily chipping away, pitted early here in Imola, and now finds himself after the round of pit stop in P2, but does have Zach Lawson, does have John O'Cook, and does have Russ Fowler behind him for a little bit of company to keep him honest in these last 7 minutes of the championship. You can see there James super concentrated in that Porsche, staying away from them curbs to make sure that he doesn't make any silly mistakes like he made earlier on coming around Villeneuve. But at the moment, James in P2 in that Pro-Am, another masterclass, another Spa. So there we go. There is James Logsdon, second in the Pro-Am, followed closely by Zach Lawson, our very first outing for the BMW driver there, just behind. Was leading the field, like I said, but had that 27-second pit stop, and that's why he finds himself in P3. John Cook just looking a little bit further behind. He's had another good race. He's up 6 places from where he started, as we just look on board with him, and you can see there, look at that, look at Tom Savage there. Let's just go on board with Tom Savage, just trying to get that passing opportunity. I think he might have done it, you know. He has. He has managed to take Zach Lawson for that. So now James Logsdon does have a car between him and his nearest rival of Zach Lawson. That was a great passing move there from Tom, coming down into turn number 1, 2, and 3 through Tamburello, managing to get it done. If you get that car on the inside, it is a really good place to make that passing opportunity tell. I just want to have a look at that. Let's have a look back at it and see how he managed to do that. So coming through the start-finish, I had the slipstream. I mean, it's just the power of that Merc all over the back of that BMW. Slips out of the slipstream, gets onto the inside here, coming down into turn number 1. Alongside, the BMW obviously has to yield because there'll be an incident else, and manages to get it done. Goes deep into turn number 1, but still manages to keep the corner. So great passing manoeuvre there from Tom Savage to get up another place. It's all immaterial for Tom, really. I think it's just he's enjoying the battling out there. You can sort of see he's the only am in what is sandwiched between the two Pro-Ams, but is having an exceptional race here and getting towards the top end of the Pro-Ams is Tom Savage. Probably around about 8 places ahead of what was his teammate, or sorry, his main rival, Simeon, who now is further back. And again, I believe we can go on board with Simeon. Let me see if I can find his camera. Yes, I can. Here is Simeon, our youngest driver. Oh, there's an issue there. That was Sand Island with Casper, I believe, coming down into turn number 1. Wow, what a big incident. Casper's just on the back there. As we were just running on board with what is our youngest, we will find what happened out very shortly. But just having a look at Simeon Moleclev here, our youngest driver out on track, only 16 years of age, and certainly is having a great race for himself. But currently looking at Sander there, on track. That was a crazy incident out there. So let's have a look and see what occurred there. Let's see if I can find a replay. Here it is. So we went off track. Let's try to get him a further back. Let's join him from here and let's have a look. This is Casper coming down the start-finish straight. That's Sander behind. Trying to move up for a little bit. Is Sander trying to make an opportunity? There's a little bit of contact there. Sander just losing control. Rebounds across the track. And then just in the middle, luckily, no other incidents are caused by that. But you can sort of see there that Casper cannot move at all. I think he's got damage to his wheel. Yeah, he is going to have to go back to the pits. But that was like a little bit of an incident there going into the first corner. And we've got Simeon here, and we can sort of see the gap now between, so Tom Savage is in 11th place, Simeon in 18th, so Tom's managed to just pull out. I think it's to do with a lot of the traffic as well out on track. Let's have a look where all the cars, is there a congestion? Let's have a look at the track map. Yeah, you can sort of see where they are. The orange car number 19 is Simeon. Heavily congested there between rookies, Pro-Ams and Ams, so a very heavily congested part of the circuit. And looks like all the pros at the moment have got the free air further down, just coming over the start-finish straight to start another lap here. Only got a minute and a half left, so probably round about one more lap to go after this. So this could actually be the final lap on track. I'm not sure if they've had the white flag, but let's have a look back up with our leaders. So Eric Isaacson is our lead driver at the moment. He is just coming around. That's also coming up into Piratella. Got a 4.6 second advantage. Thomas Wangen. Oh, look at that. Thomas Wangen and Daniel Sedley. Daniel Sedley has managed to get past Thomas Wangen. So Thomas Wangen's tyres must be absolutely shot, because he was leading this race, got lost out the battle to his teammate Neil Eric Isaacson in the pits. And then Daniel Sedley with a masterclass pit stop strategy, literally a splash and dash right at the end. It was behind Kjetil Larsen for pretty much 90% of this race, so was able to save some valuable fuel out on track, and has managed to go 2 laps extra than the rest of the field, and has managed to leapfrog Thomas Wangen for that P2 overall. We're just going to see here if this is the last lap for Neil Eric Isaacson coming up. Is this the checkered flag, or is this... Yes, it is. This is the checkered flag. So this is another win here for Neil Eric Isaacson here out in Imola. And let's just look further back there. You can just see the battle going on. Daniel Sedgwick getting second place for Olympus Esports. A great race for him. He was further down the field, as we saw. Look, at the start of it, because he didn't take part in qualify, but has managed to get himself up to P2. You can see him flashing his lights there. He is ecstatic. Looking further back now, Lee King McGee coming down into Ravazza, taking the first corner, taking the second corner, just needs to get around this last corner, and he has another win to his name here in Imola, and a great win for him, because the rest of his teammates, what has happened to James Logsdon? He is all of a sudden gone back to P3. So, very strange. So, there's Lee King McGee. Let's have a look. James Logsdon. What happened here? Looks like Jono, who was behind Tom Savage. That's very strange what's happened here. And John O'Cook has taken P2 in that Pro-Am category. Very strange goings on in the last couple of laps. James Logsdon taking 3rd. Tom Savage. Zach Lawson on his very first outing taking 4th. Kim L.J. Borkland in 5th. And Russ Fowler in 6th from P15th overall. Very weird. Tom Savage, obviously our winner in the AMS. With Simeon Moldeklev getting 2nd place. With Stefan Anderson, a great 3rd place for him in there. And then looking further back, and it's Alan Sandergaard has managed to get his first win of the season. You know, I've said it before about Alan. He was super strong. He just needed to get that consistency within the race. And again, out in Imola, he has managed to get it done, and has won the rookie class here. I'm just looking back to see where Nicholas Gronstrom was 3rd overall. So Sam Curran managed to leapfrog Nicholas Gronstrom, who was right behind. So Nicholas must have had an issue of what it is. Here we go. Let's have a look at John O'Cook making a passing move here on James Logsdon. So where is this? On the outside of... Oh, what a move. On the outside of Tulsa, on the run now up to Piratella, side by side. You would have think James would have the advantage being on that inside line, but Jono manages to get the move done before the corner. It's just the power of that Mercedes off the end. Got a really good run on the outside of Tulsa, and just managed to make the passing move there on James. But even so, you know, what a great recovery drive there from James Logsdon, who was well out of it, and then basically can we see the battle between Dan and Thomas, if possible? See side by side for about 2 laps. Let's have a look and see if I can find the passing move. Daniel Sedgley. Here we go. Here's the passing move between Daniel Sedgley and Thomas Wangen. So it looks like it's going to be a relatively easy one here. Coming down into turn number 1. Thomas going super defensive on the inside. Does have that inside line. Daniel's just taking the normal racing line. So we'll have the overseat. Oh, what a great pass on the exit of turn number 2 on the outside and gets it done before Tamburello. I mean, what a great move there from Daniel. I mean, Thomas literally hung himself out to dry with that tight inside line coming into turn number 1. But, you know, that's all he could do because Daniel certainly had the overspeed coming down that start-finish straight. But, what a great ride there from Daniel to be able to get P2 overall. I think he started around about P6. He is up 6 places from, in fact, no, he's up 6 places from where he started. So he started well down the field out on track. So a great passing move there and managing to hold it off. But wow, what some last minute action here at Imola. And luckily the drivers didn't go dark. But let's have a look at the end results. And why have I got them up? Let's see if I can get them off. Here we go. Race results here for round 6 of the Performance Links GT3 Cup. In first place, Neil-Erik Isaacson. And in second place, a great second place for Daniel Sedgley, Olympus Esports Redstone team. Thomas Wangen in third place, Kessel Larson in fourth, Scott Mokes in fifth. Top of your Pro-Am here, Lee King McGee gets his podium position. In seventh place, Michael Hooper, eighth, Lars Sorensen. And in ninth, you have Matt Gensfrom in 10th, second place in the Pro-Am, John O'Cook. A great passing move over James Logston coming around Tosser, going up into Piratella. But James, a great recovery drive after his early incident on the opening couple of laps. Tom Savage is number 1 in your AM in P12. Zach Lawson's very first one. Little bit of a mistake, I feel, probably from himself in the pit stop. 27 seconds, like I've said. Probably ran about 10 seconds more than... well, about 13 seconds more than the rest of the field, but still managing to get 4th there and P13th overall. Kim Andre Bortland in 14th, Russ Fowler 15th, Christopher Otterholt in 16th, Sander Island 17th, and Alexander Scorette in 18th. In 19th was Arish Mantas after his early issues he had in the Audi, not having a great first outing in a brand new car. Simeon Moldeklev there, second place in your AM in P20 of Stefan Anderson in P21. 22nd was Michael Goff. 23rd was Stefan Albanese getting 4th overall in the AM. Gordon Haig there in 24th. In 25th, Shemapon Asavon. In 26th, our top rookie, Alan Sandergaard, taking a well-deserved rookie win there with Patrick Wild in 22nd. Sam Curran gets second place overall in the rookie class. In 29th, Nicholas Gronstrom taking the last place on the podium in the rookies with Madsea in 30th. Casper Tussen in 31st. After that incident we did see coming down into turn number 1. Paul Joseph Clist in 32nd. Matthew Green in 33rd. Sam Hendricks in 34th. Torben Mele just going around, will score some points, being 4 laps down from the leader, so will score some points, so well in for him for keep going. And then you got Alte Rudd at the end, literally early off after being that pole sitter in the rookie. So extremely interesting out on track and some great rest. Let's have a look to see who we've got to come in for an interview. Let's bring across Neil-Erik Isaacson. Neil, welcome to the booth. A great win. We pretty much saw you on the first half of the race, glued to Thomas Wangen's car. And then you seem to leapfrog him again in the round of pit stops. Just talk us through the race from your point of view.
Yeah, we had a good start and we could pull a little bit away. And then, of course, when I'm behind him, I can save some fuel. And I think that was the key today. I feel a bit sorry for him because he did all the hard work and also took the pole as he always do. But yeah, it was a good win for me at least.
Yeah, it seems to be between the two of you, always like sort of almost like tag teaming. But I'm quite surprised, like you said, he'd done all the work on the early stint. You were pretty much behind him the whole way, doing your nice little bit of fuel saving and not really playing the team game there, are you, Niels?
Well, it's risky to change positions and stuff, and usually he don't want to do that. He don't want to risk if he does some mistake or something. I can get away, but yeah, yeah, it is what it is.
You seem
It
to
was
be.
a shame he couldn't hold on to the second place there.
Yeah, it definitely was. It looked like, obviously, I'm assuming with the time frame that you did, that you didn't really change any of the tyres. So I think probably his tyres had gone off in the last
the
bit.
tires you can change while you fill up the car. So I changed the right side.
Right, okay. Yeah, so obviously you win in the race. Thomas came third overall, but as a team, you're exceptionally strong. We always see you at the front end of the grid. I thought Scott was going to pick you again in there, but then you came on strong in the last part of qualifying, and all your team were again at the front end of the grid. What's the secret to your team's success?
Well, today I think I only had one clean lap, and that was the one that I took second place with. So I don't know what happened to Scott. He was really quick, and maybe he got some off tracks or something. I don't know. But yeah, second place was good in the quali. Yeah, it was a bit lucky because I only had one lap. So yeah.
Obviously, we were looking at the car choice and we were looking at Barcelona and we were thinking that it's probably going to be another strong round for the Porsche. But the BMW was an exceptionally strong round here. Was it something to do with the fact that you could probably take them curbs a little bit better than the rest of the other cars on the field?
I don't know. I haven't tried the other cars, but I think the Porsche looked okay. I think Scott had the speed, but I don't know what happened in the quali.
Yeah, it certainly didn't like corners. The Porsche, them black and yellow sausage curbs.
Yeah, you don't want to hit them anyways.
It definitely is. Obviously, we've got your home track next time out, and I'll probably say it completely wrong, so I'll let you say how to pronounce it properly. But how are you looking forward to that round?
Yeah, Rudskogen. Yeah, I don't know with the BMW. I think it's not the car and track together there, but we have had some laps there, so we should be fine there as well. I think. Maybe I don't know if there are any Lambos or Audis in here.
There was one.
There.
There was one,
Yeah.
and he changed out this round to the Audi, so may
okay.
not be as strong on that. But I mean, from a championship point of view, it's going to put you now extremely close to Thomas. You were only about 4 or 3 points behind him going into this round. You obviously got first, which would give you the 2, but then he dropped another position. So I'd imagine you'd probably be around about the same amount of points, which bodes well for yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard fight, I think. Yeah, we will see. We have to keep on track. That's the most important part. But we also have to. I think it's a fight. Yes.
Definitely is. But congratulations, mate, on your race win. Would you like to give anybody a shout out before we let you go, mate?
Yeah, of course, the team and also Thomas today. He did drive exceptionally well. It was a shame that, yeah, I could benefit from staying in the slipstream, and also the rest of the team, and also our sponsors, IGL Coatings, Sande Trafikkskole, and Elverdi. And also we have to say I really like this league, and big thanks to you, Andy, and also you, Tom. I know you are sick, but be better.
Yeah, definitely. Big thanks for that. And look forward to seeing you out on your home track, so not far, hopefully, for you to travel.
No, thank you.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Niels. Congratulations. So that was Neil Eric Isaacson there, winning in the Pro field after being second fiddle to Thomas for the majority of the race. But again, it's another masterclass in saving fuel and managing to leapfrog his teammate in the pit stop. So a great win there for Neil Eriksen. But let's bring in Lee King McGee, our top Pro-Am driver. Lee, congratulations on a race win. Zach Lawson was extremely quick for his very first out, but sort of fell over in the pit stop, which sort of gave you the advantage. I did say that, and I think your dad pretty much told me to shush. But you took it quite well after the round of pit stops. Talk us through your race, mate.
P1, absolutely made up. It was quite hard at the start with track temps and that, but as soon as the sun dropped, I was hitting 41s. But the only time I had traffic was at the start of the race. But then when James went off and Zach was 5 seconds ahead of me, it was just clear track all the way through it, and I was just lapping consistently. Every lap was a purple lap for me, and I think that's what won me the race. Zach just messaged me. He accidentally took tyres.
Right. I mean, his pit stop was a 27 seconds. Yours was the 13. So that's very much where you were able to leapfrog him in the positions. But, I mean, it was a great race overall. You were leading the Pro-Am field coming into this one. Extremely competitive Pro-Am, certainly in the top half of the field. But so to get that race win and to pull a few more points over your rivals that are chasing you out must be a great day at the office for you.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, mate. I can't ask for anything else. Everything just went smoothly. No mistakes. Yeah, they had 11 instant points, but I think they were more off tracks. But
I mean, I suppose you got a little bit of sprinkling of fortune, but that is racing, isn't it? You did what you could possibly do. Like you said, you had your clear track. You were putting in the fastest laps that you could do on your personal lap times, and it's all about staying consistent in these sort of almost like mini endurance races. We saw James having a slight issue with having a fight with the orange and black sausage curb and coming off the worst early on in the race that paid to him. And then you had Zach obviously taking a bit of an unorthodox pit stop that really handed the two. But you still had to do in your lap times to do it. And by the end, you won by a comfortable margin as well.
Yeah, you've just got to have a mindset of just you basically you don't race anyone. You race your lap time. Your delta. You race your delta. And that's all I do. About halfway through the race as well, my race lab stopped, so I had no delta, and I couldn't remember how to get it up on the keyboard, and it sent me head west. But yeah, that's all you've got to do. You just got to lap consistently and hope it all comes together at the end.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just talk us through. Obviously, you're brand new to this league itself. What expectations did you have when you came into it? And now we're now over the halfway point. You're leading out the Pro-Am field. Are you giddy with joy, and are you thinking I've got a real big chance here?
I signed up to this event to test to see how good I was against everyone else. And with me being in P, I don't look at it as I'm P1. I do race by race by race, and then the last one, it'll be the last corner when I celebrate.
I suppose that's a great mindset to have, because we got plenty of rounds to come up and a couple of the endurance rounds, and I suppose that's where it can be easily lost. We saw James Logston, who had a commanding lead up until that endurance round, had a terrible endurance round, where on the other hand, you had a really good endurance round. You were obviously leading in that with your F1 claim to fame incident, still managing to get third place overall, which has leapfrogged you into the top of that. I suppose looking at it, does it put more pressure on you with the 2 hour endurance race? We still got 2 to go. That you've got to do well in them races, because that's where you can win or lose the championship.
Yeah, of course it is. If that's where the points are, that's where the points are. But I don't mind endurance races. I did a 6 hour, 6 hour round Silverstone solo for charity once, and that absolutely killed me. But I did it, and it was fun. I love endurance racing.
They are good, and you're probably looking forward to the mid-season special that we've got coming up as well, which is a 4 hour endurance, but you'll only have to drive for an hour. But Congratulations, mate, for another podium and another race win for yourself in the AKM Racing as well. We'll also benefit from the team points as well. But before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, to yourselves for hosting the championship. Tom, I hope you get better, mate, because you sounded awful. And I want to do one to AKM Racing UK and also a shout out to Jonathan Cook on getting podium.
Definitely, mate. Well, congratulations anyway, and for extending your lead, and we look forward to seeing you out next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, mate.
Cheers, mate. Let's bring in the guy that seems to have NOS in his Mercedes, Tom Savage, our top AM driver. Tom, another commanding performance after a commanding performance out in Barcelona. What's the secret to your success?
I don't know. It didn't feel like much of a success at the start today. It was really tough. I had a dreadful qualifying. I think I was half a second off where I was expected to be, and then I got stuck behind everybody for the first half of the race. I think just sticking with it, that was the key. Just calm it down after I got stuck behind him and just lap.
Obviously, we saw you having a really good battle with Simeon. Simeon was closely following you. He was in front of you. Then you were in front of him. What was the change there when you were able to break away from Simeon? Because by the end, you were probably around about 10 seconds ahead of Simeon towards the end of the race. Was it traffic that was able to sort of bridge the gap a little bit more between yourself and Simeon? Because you two were very much out on your own, and it was a two-horse race to who was going to win this round.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was an incident on the line at the start with 3 cars getting some touches, so I think that's why we ended up quite far ahead of the rest. We sort of had 2 periods of the race where we were really close. Quite at the start, there was another Team Norway car in front of me. I was getting a bit irritated at, and that's why I couldn't get away from Simon, because I couldn't get past the car in front. And then I think I eventually did. He had an incident because I was pressuring him, maybe a bit too much, being that we were in the class, but I needed to get away from Simeon. And then later on, he was right behind me at the pits, and I'm not quite sure why. He just seemed to take way longer. We both came out in traffic, and then he was 1.7 behind me, and then next time I looked, he was 6 seconds behind me. So it was just kind of finish it from there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your pit stop time. You done 11.65 and Simeon done a 14.1. So obviously that was a big advantage to you. How much? Obviously, let's talk about these pit stops. So we see the normal racing; it's really close racing, and then when we add in this pit stop into these races, it seems to like throw the dice and other people come out. How do you approach when do you come in for your pit stop? Do you do it on the fly, or do you have a plan before you come into the round of, right, I'm going to pit on this lap, or is it just basically as the race unfolds and just trying to read it?
It's definitely a plan beforehand. It's sort of, let's figure out the best case scenario, and then if something happens in the race that throws that off, we'll sort of improvise. So I was always planning on going full tank from the start and not taking tyres here, which that worked out pretty well. I usually find that the Mercedes uses more fuel than he's in the BMW now, and he's not in the McLaren, so maybe that's what it is. That's what let me get it out. But we stopped on the same lap, so I'm surprised he took 3 seconds more.
Probably an extra tyre or so, maybe. I don't know.
No, it's something I'll check in the replay. But yeah, definitely plan it out beforehand. I like to do some practice stints and figure it out from there.
So looking at, obviously you're flying high in the AM. Your team, both of your Bearport teams are flying high in the team championship, only behind the IGL Sunday Traffic School team. But you've really come into this championship, and I remember speaking to Jimmy that, you know, that was one of your goals, is to try and win that, and you've done a concerted effort by putting 8 people into this championship, you know, and with you getting, you know, your first places, you're flying high in that. How's it as a team? Are you confident as a team that you're doing everything that you can to do as best as you can within the championship?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're, you know, it says serious business on the back of the cars, but we're very much not what you'd call a try-hard team. There's no pressure for people to, race if they don't want to or if they can't. I know a couple of other guys in the Bedpoke Zero team, my team, have not been able to make some races, and it's fine. It ends where it ends. We're here for fun, and so far it has been.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I think the thing about your team is, where, like you said, some people don't have the best around, some people don't tip up. But then when the people that are tipping up are certainly performing to keep yourself up there. So, from a team point of view, you've got the best of both worlds. You're constantly scoring high points and putting the IGL Coatings Traffic Skull team under pressure at the top of the championship. So, you've got that to pay for as well, mate, haven't you?
Yep, yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to, if we ever manage to take them off the top spot.
Definitely is, mate. But congratulations on your first place in the AM. Very strong performance again. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, mate?
No, just the usual people. Obviously Team Bear Pope, you guys. I think particularly, the broadcast is something I want to give a shout out to. That's what makes this series for me. I love finishing the race, knackered, sit down on the sofa and whack on the broadcast after and have a watch. So yeah, good job you guys.
Well, you got my dulcet tone for an hour and probably 2 hours of the race because unfortunately Tom couldn't join us. He's a poorly little soldier. He's a poorly little soldier. Well, congratulations, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Right, let's get in. I just want to get in the two drivers. So we've got James Logston and Jonathan Cook joining us in the broadcast room. Welcome, guys. Firstly to you, James. You had that incident at the start. I don't know if you just wanted to take off in that Porsche, but you did a pretty good job going around Villeneuve. That put yourself back into like 9th or 10th place in the Pro-Am field. Then after the round of pit stops, it was like Spa again from last season that you managed to get into P2. How did you manage to do that?
So that incident was definitely really unfortunate. I'd done a pretty good job all of my practice, not really hitting those, and then suddenly in the race, there I am. My dad jokes that I should get a pilot's license now, so I think he's pretty accurate there. But once that happened and my pit window opened, I realized that I was getting stuck behind cars that were a bit slower than me. I was definitely feeling held up, so I thought I would just try doing the undercut. And fortunately, that worked out. I think I was able to make really good pace once I came out of the pits, and then came out in a pretty decent spot considering my incident.
Well, yeah, pretty decent. You were second overall, and we were watching it the last couple of rounds. And Jono, over to you, mate. Is with your brand new livery, you probably got an extra couple of tenths of a second there because looks like you got a couple of set of teeth on the front of that Mercedes. But talk us through. You were literally about 2 cars behind James, and then all of a sudden you were able to make a move on James in the last couple of laps. Just talk us through that and how excited were you in the car, and did you think you were able to do it?
It's quite an interesting one. So I came out behind Thomas, and he was fighting Zach and James, and they were all over each other. And I was sitting there thinking, it's great for Tom that he's up there on pace, and he's in the class below, but I was like, for the life of me, I wish he'd just get out of the way because this is the fight for Pro-Am podium, and I was just really eager to get past and sort of let him do the heavy duty. He sort of got Zach out of the way, and I was able to sort of pick it off from there. I think James said earlier his tyres sort of just fell off at the end, and the Mercedes just still had even more grip. It was just unbelievable at the end. So yeah.
Obviously, taking it back to the move, I don't know if you remember where it was, but it was actually around the outside of Tosa that you managed to get the pass and move done. Now, that's very unorthodox place on the outside of Tosa to get the move done. And then there was a drag race up towards Piratella. We got you on stream side by side, but you just managed to get your car in front. James, did you just ease off and give John all the position coming up there?
Yeah, as you said, I mentioned my tires had kind of like fallen off. I wanted to fight, but I really didn't feel comfortable being side by side with where my tire was at that point. My front right had basically disappeared, so any of those left-hand turns were just really tough for me. So I just decided at that point I'd settle in, I'd get a podium. Not as good as the P2 I was hoping for, but better be safe than ruin it for both of us.
I suppose that's
Open to a testament to the Mercedes power up the hill, but if you let off, that's fine.
yeah.
All race I think it's sector between sector 2 and 4. The Mercedes was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, sort of I think it's Villeneuve chicane, and I think Tosi, you said the Mercedes is absolutely amazing around that, and sort of sent it around the outside of James, and sort of prayed the Mercedes had enough power just to put me up the hill. So
I think the Mercedes power definitely contributed there. I think if you were in
Yeah.
a car without so much straight line speed, it might have been a different story in terms of me backing off.
sure.
Definitely is, but it's good to get the perspective of both of you guys in there. That's why I brought you both in to see where it was. I mean, John, just looking at your championship, it's been a bit of a up and down ride for you at the moment, but you put in the strong performance. I know you're extremely fast being a part of the Performance Link team. You know, is this going to springboard you now to really put in the practice for the final slog into what will be Bathurst in round 12?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bathurst is the one track I think on the calendar I'm looking forward to. It's my favourite track in the whole world. So yeah, I've had a really poor season, and that's why I switched to the Mercedes, because the Audi just wasn't feeling very comfortable with me anymore. The Mercedes sort of gives me the feel of how iRacing used to be about 3-4 years ago. I feel like it's confident to throw it over the curbs, and that's why I sort of switched to hopefully kickstart my second part of the campaign. So um, I'm really happy that I'm able to come from last in class, because I messed up my qualifying. But I really want to give massive shout out to Russ, my teammate, because we spend pretty much every day talking and analysing each other's lap times and watching all sorts of videos on YouTube, trying to help each other out. So it's a shame Russ isn't the same car, or we're not in the Audi together anymore. But he does absolutely phenomenal work behind the scenes to sort of help with strategy and sort of help push each other along.
It definitely is. And then over to you, James. Obviously, you were flying high in the opening 4 rounds, and I hate to bring back the pain of the endurance round that really put sort of pay to your championship. You went from first down to round about 5th, but now you're making that climb back up. We know you've got the speed. We know you're going to be challenging there at the end of the season. How much of a setback was that endurance disappointment, should I say, and what are you going to do on the next endurance to sort of make up for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty major setback, unfortunately. So, I got caught up in an incident in lap 2, I think it was, and then to compound factors, I failed to check my quick repair, so I ended up having to tow. And once that happened, it was just like, all right, I just got to settle in, try and get some points. I knew it wasn't really going to be possible for me to catch anybody else. Getting on the lead lap again itself would be a real challenge. And so looking forward, I just gotta make sure I settle down and make sure I don't get caught up in an incident again, I guess, in the next endurance races, because they're really important for points.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously for yourself, Jono, as well, with the endurance, you mentioned there that Bathurst is, you love that track. So, hopefully you're expecting some good points in there. The next endurance round is the GP circuit around the Nordschleife. Well, not the Nordschleife, but it's obviously the GP circuit around there. How are you looking forward to that one? And are you hoping for some big points there?
Yeah, Nürburgring's not a bad track for me. Racer sort of pre-season the LMP2s and MX5s and had some good results there. So yeah, I'd say that's a fairly confident track for me, and look forward to hopefully bringing the Mercedes some success on home soil.
Yeah, it definitely was. And congratulations, guys, on your second and third. A thrilling race to watch out on Australia. And it's a thrilling race to watch in that pro field as well. You all are super competitive, and it's super close in the championship, which makes it all the more viewing. But obviously, first to you, James, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out before we let you go, mate?
Yeah, basically just the regulars, you guys for putting us all together and put together the broadcast, and it's really enjoy watching it. And then Team Bear Pope, as always, they've been fantastic help throughout the season. And then my dad and the rest of my family. Sometimes it sounds like the rest of my family actually sits down to watch now. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's always thrilling to see what action you give us out on track. And over to you, Jono. Is anybody you'd like to give a shout out to, mate?
Yeah, I'll shout out Tom for not giving me the sack for my performances so far, and Russ for continuing to push the team along and push me along.
Definitely is. Well, thanks, guys, and look forward out to probably one of the most unorthodox tracks on the circuit, the Norwegian track of Ruskeden, that probably not a lot of drivers go out on. So that should be an interesting round for both of you, I'd imagine. Thank you very much,
I've
guys.
never driven it.
Oh, I bet there's going to be loads of drivers. But thanks for joining us, guys, and look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
So there was James Logston and John O'Cook, obviously having their epic battle in that Pro-Am. John prevailing on this time round. We do have one more interview, and it was the fight that we were watching between Tom. It is Simeon. Simeon, welcome to the booth, mate. Obviously, at the start of the race, we saw you having an epic battle with Tom, but you sort of fell away a little bit towards the end. Just take us through your race, mate.
The start was quite chaos as well. I don't know what happened. We went 3 wide there, and there was some netcode involved. And then I got my pedal down, and me and Gordon kind of started to catch Tom Savage again. And then we stayed with him for the most race. And then he got past me with a great overtake. And then I just couldn't keep up with the pace when I started pushing the tires. Then I pushed them a little too much, and yeah, he went just flying away.
I mean, we've obviously mentioned you're probably the youngest driver out on track at only 16 years old, but you got so much natural talent in there. We've seen you again in season 2 have your little hit and miss moments. You come on really strong in some events, but it pays quite well for the future for you. You've got so many years ahead of you of iRacing out on track. I mean, you've got to be pleased with your progress of what you've been doing so far on the sim.
Of course, I'm very happy to have grown to the level I've grown to now. And of course, I'm going to try and keep pushing, because at some tracks and some cars, I'm really not that far off the pace of like the pros. But I just need to be more consistent everywhere and just find those 1 to 2 seconds, even on those tracks that I'm feeling I'm quite good at. And then I'll be up there at the top of sim racing and officials. Still a lot of way to go to the pros. They are just too quick. But yeah, I was quite happy with.
Well, I'll be looking forward. I'll certainly be looking forward to the years to come when you're one of the top racers on iRacing, and I'll fondly think of our days when you with the Performance Link team down in the AMS, learning your craft, mate. But you certainly got the speed and the consistency, and that will come with due time. I mean, a prime example is Arias Shamantas. You know, he was Mr. Inconsistent when I was commentating on him in another broadcast, but now he's a lot more consistent, having a little bit of a struggle here, but you know, it shows that, you know, with the practice out, and I suppose as well, I mean, how is it racing in the league racing? Does that get you better? Do you watch people with their lines? Do you take hints and tips from other drivers out on track?
Of course, it's more fun when you're in a league and you're competing for victory over multiple races and just not one race at a time. So I put more practice into a league than I do into officials, for example. And it's, of course, helpful to look at other fast guys like the Eagle Coatings guys. Since they're in the sim car, you can always look at their lines and what gear they are using, but it's the setup that means the most, I think. So getting the lines right are just like the bottom.
Definitely. Well, we go to obviously one of your home tracks next, Ruskeden. Have you got much experience around there, or are you like the rest of the field and not really driven it?
No, I've driven a lot of different cars around there, of course. When it just came, we Norwegian guys set up so many fun races with different cars around there. So I have a lot of experience with it. So, but it's going to be a tricky one because the slowdowns on Rudskogen is unbelievable sometimes. So you gotta put a lot of practice to know where the slowdown goes and where it doesn't go.
Well, if you've got that knowledge where it is, you've already got one up on probably the majority of the field out here today. But Simeon, congratulations again on your second place in the AM. Some great points more than second place in the championship. Before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
For making this amazing league and setting up the streams and everything. My team for helping out with setups, helping with racing lines, and of course to every person that's driving this league. It wouldn't have been possible without every guy on track.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And it's always a pleasure to have you in the league as well, mate, out on tracks. It's always a pleasure to have you in the league, mate, as well. And it's great to see how much you're coming on leaps and bounds, even in the 2 seasons you've been in there. But congratulations in your second place, mate, and look forward to seeing you out on Ruskerdon next week.
Yes, yeah.
Cheers, mate. So there was Simeon there having very much a big battle at the start of the race with Tom Savage, but sort of getting it a little bit, falling back a little bit towards the end. But that is the end of our broadcast here at Imola for round number 6. I mean, there's been some great racing. It very much seemed that the BMW was out front, should we say, and the car of choice around this track. But I mean, it's been a great win, and a big thank you to our sponsors: Performance Link, Green Feature Technology, TC Simography, STK Gaming, and Extreme Scoring, as well as Demon Tweaks. Without them, we wouldn't be able to make these wonderful leagues. And also to you viewers who stick with us, enjoy the broadcast, gives the thumbs up. And obviously think about subscribing if you haven't. The numbers are growing all the time, and you know, we're so grateful to all you guys subscribing to the channel, and that's how we sort of grow. Also a reminder, you know, if you've been watching and you fancy getting on the grid but you don't really want to race in these high powered GT3 cars, we do have the Clio Cup coming up. It's going to be a 5-rounder. We're going to follow the last 5 rounds of this championship. They're all UK tracks, so we visit Brands Hatch, we go to the Indy, the GP layout, we go to Donington, we go to Knock Hill, and the last one, it evades me at the moment. But it's another classic track for on there. I won't get it. What is it? It's not Kill. Alton Park. How could I forget Alton Park? Because that's probably my favourite track. But it's going to be a fantastic ride. We've got 3 20-minute rounds, 15 races for you thing. So if you want to dabble in to the realms of league racing, then join our Discord. Get yourself on the grid, and we could be speaking to you here in the booth. But I need to have a break. I've been talking too long. You're probably bored of me. So until Ruskerdon next week, my name's Andy Thompson. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you guys and obviously commentating for you on this race. But from all us here at Performance Link, we're going to bid you farewell and see you out next week at the same time. Hopefully, Tom, you're a lot better by then, so you can come and join me and give my voice a little bit of a break. But until then, good night.